Hello and welcome to the Agri-Works podcast, the place to go for exploring how agriculture meets marketing, communications, and meeting the people that share the stories of our industry. I am Olivia Skiok, Head of Content at Agri-Works, and your host for this podcast. Each month I will chat with somebody new and discover how they got into the industry, what they think makes marketing work, and their favourite campaigns. Plus, we'll do some quick-fire questions. In this episode, I am joined by Jasmine Kent, Head of Marketing at CFMOTO, and we discuss all things social media, building a community, user-generated content, as well as finding out how she got to the role that she's in. Welcome to the Agri-Works podcast, Jazz. Can we start by a bit of a background? How have you ended up where you are?
So, it's not your average story. So I did grow up on a dairy farm in Cornwall. I think we milked 200 cows, and I did show an interest in milking and the farm at about 14. So I used to milk the cows a little bit. But then I kind of discovered boys and being cool. And honestly, I remember going to school and someone saying, like, it really smells. And you know, the smell of cow poo just doesn't leave you. And I was like, right, that's it, I'm done. So then I had no interest in farming from then. I loved writing. So I went to university in Bristol and studied journalism, which kind of like slightly loops back around to working in marketing now, but finished that and did a little bit of content writing in London for an action sports magazine. So being from Cornwall, did a bit of surfing. I was never very good, but liked being in that industry. And then I went out to Barcelona, worked as an English teacher for a few months, and then met some people that worked on sailing boats and basically ran away from Cornwall and the farm and did a yachting career for 7 years. I think I did 5 years actually sailing, and then a couple of years doing a bit of management. And then ended up in Lincolnshire, and during COVID I met Harry, my partner, my now fiance, and his family, his father started Quadzilla, which is the UK distributor of CFMOTO, UK and Ireland distributor. And initially it was in COVID, so there wasn't much sailing going on, so our relationship blossomed. And then I quit working that job that allowed me to be in Lincolnshire, and I kind of was like, we can't be together. Like, this is my life. I have thousands of pounds worth of qualifications in sailing. I thought that was it forever. But the truth with sailing is that it's not a lifestyle that's healthy. It's you live out of a bag. It's everyone in it is running away from something. And so
I can imagine there's a real sense of freedom, but with that is that nothing to come back to, I guess.
Exactly. And the novelty wears off. Like, the first couple of years, it's amazing. I was in the Caribbean, I was all around the Mediterranean, but you're at someone else's beck and call. You can't make your own plans. You can't go to anyone's weddings. You can't. I went back to sailing for a few months, broke up with Harry, and then he rang me and said, please be with me. I've spoken to my dad, and he said, why don't you join the family business? And initially I said, like, no way, I don't think so. And then I was actually in the Caribbean, and I said I was sailing back across the Atlantic, where back then there wasn't any internet on a boat when you're in the middle of the Atlantic. Now we have Starlink, which everyone gets internet everywhere. I was going to be disconnected, and I was like, I'll give you an answer when I get back into Europe.
That's such a good, I've got time, I don't need to be bothered, I'm away from the internet, I can actually make a decision without,
And then it was my 6th Atlantic crossing, and I absolutely hated it. I was the only girl with a bunch of boys, and I was like, I've just done this. And the whole way across, I was dreaming about my country lifestyle and the Suzuki Jimny that I was going to buy. And so that's basically how it started. But it's a bit crazy how my life has done a full circle from growing up on a farm and thinking it was, like, loving it as a child, but then teenage years thinking it wasn't for me. To then finding that I joined Quadzilla and actually know farmers. I went to a few young farmer meats when I was a kid. Was very exposed to farming and understand a little bit about how farmers think. And then I think that really helps me in the job that I do now. So I've been with Quadzilla and running marketing for 5 years. And to be honest, at the beginning, there was no one running marketing. So even with my little experience, it was better than nothing that was happening before.
Makes total sense.
Yeah, over time, like I did a little bit of I did some journalism, quite a good writer, and just learnt on the job, basically.
So you talked about your degrees in journalism.
Yeah.
Did you plan on being a journalist?
Yes, I did. And whilst at uni, I did work experience with this company called Factory Media. So they own, I don't even know if they exist anymore, but they did own like a ski magazine called White Lines. They had like mountain biking, surf magazine. And then they had one called Cooler, which was like female surf, skating and snowboarding. So I loved my work experience with them. And then they asked me to come back. So as soon as I finished uni, I joined there. I moved to London. And I actually absolutely hated it.
Oh, really? Okay. What about it did you hate?
So I think I was very junior and I don't think I gave it a proper chance, but I was basically told to regurgitate stories that were already online. It wasn't what I expected it to be.
Not creative enough?
No. And yeah, wanted to change. So then obviously like journalism, English, I was like, maybe I can teach kids to speak English.
We've had a similar, I did an English degree and then went to do my teacher training because I was like, maybe I can utilise this in some way that makes sense. So you've obviously had a keen interest in terms of sports on that side of things. And I guess there is a slight link there once you go into some of the stuff that you've done as part of CFMOTO and Quadzilla in terms of the marketing side.
Yeah.
But going into when you first joined CFMOTO, is it CFMOTO or is it Quadzilla?
We should say CFMOTO, yeah.
Right, that's fine.
I should, like Quadzilla is the distributor of CFMOTO. So CFMOTO is like the brand. Yeah, but so we import, CFMOTO is a global brand, so we're the UK and Ireland distributor.
Makes sense, right. So when you first joined CFMOTO, you talked about how there's not a marketing team. There was no marketing, or was there some stuff going on?
They did do some marketing, but it was managed by the director. Or it was just, no one really took ownership of it. It was like maybe a journalist would reach out or a publication would reach out and they'd run a few ads. But the odd person at a show, they would just do a generic post. Here's our show stand this year. The social media was very generic and very bland, and so
not what it is today.
No, nothing like what it is today.
So you came in, did you turn things around and kind of go, no, this is not what we're doing, let's start fresh, or did you slowly start making changes?
I would say slowly started making changes, because honestly I learned on the job. Like I had Instagram and I like taking photos, and from my journalism degree, I did a little bit of video editing, a bit of production. So I had some knowledge, but I didn't know if what I was doing was the right thing.
Yeah.
So I think just me being on it meant that having a person go out and be accountable to take content, to take little videos, to
the remembering quite a lot of the time.
Yeah, and then I started reading a lot of books, researching like new marketing strategy online, and then if you fast forward to this year, I've been doing my Chartered Institute for Marketing level 6, which then actually kind of concretes everything I kind of learn along the way, and then with this theory that you're like, oh, actually what I'm doing is right.
Yeah, I did a short journalism course at the start of last year, and it was one of those, never done any proper journalism or anything like that, but at the end of it I thought, okay, yeah, I've learned a few new bits, but also it's made me feel confident in what I was doing it. Yeah. I'm not just making it up.
Exactly. But I think a lot of marketing and journalism is kind of like common sense. Like,
yes,
you just need to sit and think about your target audience and think about how they think. Don't be how you think.
I think it's sometimes hard to separate the two, and I do see certain marketing strategies or campaigns where you can tell it's being directed to the person that's created it, not the audience it's intended for.
Exactly.
So you started making changes. At what point did you see that having an impact? Because things have happened from the outside. It feels like things have happened for CFMOTO quite quickly. Like it's gone, something's happened.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you've played a very big part in that.
Wow. Did just win the global award of all the distributors.
Award-winning marketeer.
Yeah. So I've been in this role, 4 or 5 years. I very quickly could see our social media following increase. Yeah. And then I think it's a combination of like clever marketing, because we don't have huge amounts of budget. So doing a lot ourselves. So previously, like the factory will supply imagery from that they create, but it's like a quad bike in a desert.
It's not if you're on the hills of North Yorkshire, for example.
So it's just little things like we go out and visit customers on the farm and create some content and share that, and then I think that started to gain some momentum. We started to bring a lot more planning into our events, so. Like every event that we do, we now debrief and then think about how we'll improve it. We started to bring in like more events. So we historically only targeted like the big main agriculture events. But now I brought in like doing dairy tech and doing like more niche events that will have a lot less footfall, but a lot more like the exact target market.
Sometimes leaning into that niche side means the conversations are better, and it ends up being, you might have fewer people to your stand, but
the right people. Exactly.
And that's the biggest thing when you're trying to market something.
And then I think I built more relationships, like with Charlotte Ashley. I'm quite a friendly person, so every event that we're at, like I would go to like the talks and just start. I think we didn't target, before I came along, I don't think that we were targeting the agricultural market properly. And I think that I kind of like steered it. And honestly, like we weren't always taken seriously. And as time's gone on, but you just have to have tough skin and just keep poking and be like, we're here. And then eventually someone listens.
Yeah. And you obviously know how good the brand is and how good the product is, which helps sort of in terms of that, no, we're going to keep knocking until somebody else realises, and then that kind of momentum comes. What strikes me about still sticking with the kind of social media side is how authentic and natural it all feels. There isn't that sort of really shiny, polished, straight off the truck, look at all the ins and outs of it. It is what they're built to do. And you also do a mixture of your own content, but a lot of user-generated content. How have you built those relationships? Because I think that is that's the key, is farmers buy from farmers. We know that.
When I had more time on my hands a couple of years ago, one thing that I really prioritize is reply to everything on social media. Any comment, reply to it. And whenever anyone would, and I'm sorry because I haven't been doing this for the last year, because as we've grown,
there's a point where
I can't do it anymore. But every single person who wrote a positive comment anywhere on social media about, oh, my 450's great, it's done this and this, I would reply and say, DM me your address and I'll send you a free cap. And I reckon I sent out like 5,000 caps.
Amazing.
Well, I think we gave away a lot of caps, but I probably posted out 1,000, 1,500 caps potentially. And then instantly you build that relationship with someone who already owns your machine, and then just keep like, and then anytime anyone tag you in something, share it and say, thanks for tagging, keep it coming, please keep it coming. And then that's built up so much user-generated content.
I've seen so many posts recently that have talked about how everything in marketing refers to a community, and that the word community is overused and there has to be strategy and purpose behind it. But actually, any brand I've seen that has done really well has built that community. And it might be an overused word and we might be sick of it, but there's a reason that it's working. And you can tell, you can go straight onto your page, you can go to your stands at any of the shows and see that there is that following. Almost feels slightly cultish, but in a really nice, in the positive use of that term.
We're like a disruptor, like a challenger. We're not a legacy. And everyone's like, where have you come from? And it's like, it feels so good. Like our stand at Lama, especially this year, is like, we had so many people come over and say, wow, like this feels like the place to be. But we're doing like competitions to hold a title. Like we're a young team and we're super like agile. We make a decision and we action it that week, where I think that's another edge that we've had on our competitors, because they are big corporates and probably can't move that quickly.
It's got to be approved.
And the truth is that like I'd love to take all credit for marketing, but actually it's a fantastic product at half the price of our competitors. So as our director Harry says, like we're not pushing water uphill. We've got this product and we've got I think with farming, and this is another angle that I've really tried to push, is parts, because obviously we are a Chinese brand and there's that negative sentiment historically around Chinese. And whilst, yes, there are some bad Chinese things that get imported into the UK, this is a high quality Chinese. So it's like positioning ourselves like to own that we're Chinese, but to separate us from the Chinese not so good stuff and put ourselves in a premium place. But also show that we are a UK Lincolnshire-based company bringing this product in. So we have huge warehouses full of every part. Well, I say every part. Obviously, sometimes we run out of some stock with parts. But if we don't have that in stock, we will air freight it. So it's here in a week at our own cost, because we recognise the importance of like downtime for a vehicle when it's used for work on a farm. So then getting that across through our marketing as well.
So I know we've had conversations before in terms of that sort of being open and honest about the brand and its challenges. You obviously will get that across to customers when you speak to them, the fact that they then recognise they can call up and get parts. How are you sort of referring to that and keeping that up within the marketing as well?
For example, anyone commenting on any social media post, we have a parts phone line that, like, how many businesses can you literally pick up the phone and ring these days without having to go through a chatbot? Like that makes us very special. Anything online, any marketing, I very much push that, like just ring us, just like, so you can get parts through your dealer or you can buy parts direct from us and ring us. Then I've done like some SEO blog posts about that. So that I've done some socials posts of like yard tours around the yard. Even like we did, even silly things like behind the scenes stuff, like the Grinch at Christmas being like causing havoc in our parts warehouse. But that silently shows, even whilst it's a silly video,
there's an underlying
like message. You can see it in our warehouses, like here. So I've got more plans. Something I haven't done yet is I want to create an About Us page on our website that is about us as the UK distributor, rather than just pushing this global corporation of CFMOTO. Show who we are.
Yeah, because I think you've got that really nice balance of being a big company with the ability to make incredible equipment that's up to date and does what it says on the tin, but then grounded in a family business that is based in England, that answers the phone when it calls. So we've talked a lot about social media and touched a bit on events. In terms of marketing strategy, do you feel like you get different responses depending on what you do? So obviously you're very digital focused and then with in person. Looking at it from an older generation and the farming audience, how do you get in front of some of that traditional farming network?
So we do run a few print ads, and honestly, I don't get any feedback about
can't track it, difficulty.
Anyone sees them or not. I take a lot of I try and listen to our dealer network, because they are like at the pointy end of the customer.
Yes.
And they are the farmers. And so I take a lot of feedback from our dealer network. Honestly, I'm looking into maybe doing a little bit of advertising on billboards in like auctioneer houses, auctions across the country. Other than digital, events and shows, but other than that, we don't really do anything else.
Digital's so good for the fact that you can track it, you can learn from it, you can optimize, you can change, and it's quick. Whereas print has that place, but you just don't necessarily know what it's doing. It's just there.
You still need, I don't want to fully pull out of it, because you want to spread yourself across every touch point, but yeah, I'm much more leaning towards digital content these days. And I think I do read, so we do work with an agency called Hillsgreen, and they run our Meta. We do everything organic in-house. And we're actually, another thing that our next kind of strategy is to do a lot more email marketing. So I'm in the process of building a CRM platform, which having an absolute nightmare with the CRM provider. Open CRM, never use them. Can I just say that? So Hillsgreen are great though. So they do our paid ads and our Google ads. And they did a marketing to farmers report, which is quite good to read for a little bit of insight. Obviously, it's not every single farmer in the world, so you have to take it with a bit of a pinch of salt as which farmers fill out the survey. But it's quite surprising how many of the older generation are on online, on Facebook.
Facebook's the key one.
Facebook is massive, and
I think that's down to its age range, I think, fits in with that demographic, but also it is quite community driven in the groups and that side of things. So I think it does work well to keep it digital, but sort of making sure that you're kind of getting in front of that audience.
Yeah, we have owners groups, like CFMOTO owners group. So we always monitor a bit of what's going on in there as well. Yeah.
Well, I guess you've said to me previously that you're not afraid of leaning into some of the difficulties, for example, with the fact that it's a Chinese brand. And I guess keeping an eye on some of those conversations and kind of getting to see what potentially the negative feedback can be, because there's no brand out there that doesn't have some people that
have
make
something
some
bad to say.
But at least if you know what they are, you can challenge them head on.
Exactly. There's an amazing book called Content Marketing by Marcus Sheridan, and I recommend everyone to read it because it completely changed my strategy. And it kind of the basis of it is every single question or every single negative thing that anyone ever tells you about your brand, write it down and then create content based upon answering that question. You can have an elephant in the room. So I think we used to be hide the fact that we were Chinese or be a bit ashamed of being Chinese. But actually, I wrote a blog post and published it that everyone is going to be Googling what are the problems of Chinese brands. They're not going to say what's great about China. So it's literally what are the problems of Chinese brands and why CFMOTO is different, and just face it head on.
Yeah.
And then list what I've said about we have our parts back up. Here's the factory. We sent our dealers to the factory and we sent some content creators. So Cami Wilson from the Sheep Game went to the factory to see for themselves, and that's had so much clout to it as well. It was so good, and that I can thank the factory for that. So we work with them, so I think we pay for flights and the factory host everything out there. But then anything that you do, just shout it to the rooftops, put it on your website, blog, put it on your social media, As part of what you're doing, you also feature yourself and Harry every so often within that kind of social media marketing. And I think for a brand like yours, where you are sort of trying to balance that small sort of business with the big name of CFMOTO, it's really key to have faces to the brand. Yeah.
This is more of a personal and interesting question in that how do you build up your own profile? Because I think sometimes it's really easy to market something and a business, but it's quite hard once you're doing it for yourself, but it's important as well.
I totally agree. And actually, this is something that I've kind of hidden behind the brand for many years, and it's something that I've decided like this year. So I've always put Harry, because Harry's got his moustache and he's quite like recognizable and he's quite a character. So I've always pushed Harry to be the face of the brand.
Yeah.
So in most of our content, it's been Harry as the director there. But this year, so I always used to say that I was too busy for LinkedIn. And in the last like month, actually, it was Harry's sister who used to work in the family business too. But she's spread her wings for like, she's set up her own company in consulting and like procurement. So she's really good with like cost cutting and margin saving. So she came to do a little bit of consultancy with us. So she still does a little bit within the business. And she was like, Jazz, you need to get all over LinkedIn. So I've
easy, you're doing really well.
Am
I keep seeing when they're really interesting posts.
Well, share you. She shared her tips with me, and I'll pass them on to you.
Because I keep doing it and then going, oh God, I don't know.
You feel a bit cringy.
You do. That's it.
You feel a bit like, oh, it's all about me and how great I am.
But I think, and this leans into a different chat that sort of is going on in the whole content creator, personal brand sphere of judgment about it. And I know there's a lot of backlash, which I think probably then makes people go a bit like, oh, no, can't.
I've thought about this quite a lot over the last couple of weeks, but all the people that I think would judge me for what I'm saying on LinkedIn aren't on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's
so like,
very good point.
Yeah, so it's like
everyone's on LinkedIn for a reason.
Exactly.
So actually, yeah.
And if you can't beat them, join them on there. And actually, I've started to see the value in the relationships that I can build on LinkedIn for our business by pushing myself as like an expert. I don't want to say an expert in agricultural marketing, but I have been instrumental in helping bring a challenger brand to the #1 market share in the UK. So whilst it feels a bit like imposter syndrome to say that, I'm suddenly like, actually, I do kind of like you kind of think that you've just winged it the whole time, but then you kind of reflect on it and you're like, actually, like I do have some advice. Like I do have some things to say that can like help other people if they want to do it too. So
definitely
that's where that is for that.
No, and I think it's a good thing because I think it helps. It is another element to the marketing for CFMOTO, but also from your own perspective, I think it makes certain things easier.
And people buy from people.
Yes.
Like that you need. So even if I don't want to be on camera, like quite a lot of the social stuff that always does really well is like a voiceover with my voice. And someone said once, like, why don't you just use a AI voice? And like, it just doesn't work. Like you need to have a real voice. And then we also have CFMOTO Ireland, and I wanted to have an Irish accent, and I tried this AI generation and I was like, no, but then it was so easy. I just sent the script to one of our Irish dealers, asked him to, and he WhatsApped it to me. Like you can get personality across in something without, you just have to think creatively about how to do it.
Definitely, no, I agree. What's next for CFMOTO marketing? Have you got any plans you can share?
Big things. So obviously we've made it to #1, which is amazing, but now we need to stay there.
Yeah.
So
quite often the hardest part.
Yeah, exactly. Like everyone is gunning for us. So we've got a big job to like,
you've done something right when that happens.
But what I do like is like obviously more sales equals more marketing budget. So
in theory.
Well, I've been given a little bit more.
That's good.
Which is really nice. Like numbers that used to scare me like a few years ago when I would have a marketing conversation, I'm now like, oh no, we can do that, So I can be a lot more creative and just do a bit more. But then it's not agri related, but it's valid, is that so CFMOTO also builds motorcycles. Yeah. So we've taken on the motorcycle contract. So the big #1, because our goal the whole time was to become #1 UK market share, and we've done that. So now it's to replicate our 4-wheel success into the 2-wheel market. Very different market, which I'm much newer to. I mean, I've got a little motocross bike, but I can't call myself like a hardcore biker. Okay. So need to start to like, again, just like market research and talk to people and
sort of take what you've done on this side and just do it again and learn from that.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to do some quick fire questions.
Okay.
What's the best piece of marketing you've seen? Doesn't have to be in ag, but if it is, that makes it interesting.
I love the, it's not an ag. I love the Surreal, you know, the Surreal cereal. I love their billboards in London, and then they share it all over socials as well, where they like collaborate with, I think like they collaborated with Durex and then they collaborate with like sriracha sauce, and then they have like these really clever messages across their billboards. Like I think their marketing is so good. And I take a little bit of like you can't do it quite as hardcore in agriculture, but trying to be a little bit different. Like that inspires me quite a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Something that brands do that makes you roll your eyes in agriculture.
Okay, we'll stick in.
I feel like that's probably easier.
Yeah. I mean, I've said it already once, but like just on social media, just generic brand images that mean nothing to no one, and then there will be like a really badly taken show stand picture, which sometimes we still post that, because sometimes like I'm not always, if I'm not at the show, but I need to share that we are at the show, and there's some like sorry George, but George, our dealer manager, will take a photo, and I'm like, like this is a bit like, can you do something a bit different? Yeah. And I think that posting something is better than nothing. And so I will share it because it's diluted with all of our other content, but I think it's when brands just post that and that's it.
It's just standing there on its own. Okay.
Yeah.
What metric is most important to you in terms of monitoring how well things are doing?
That's a good one. I mean, for us, it's very, so obviously conversions is like the golden, but for us in our business, it's very difficult to measure a true conversion because we sell via our dealer network. So something I have brought in is historically we had, sorry, it's meant to be quick fire and I'm just going off.
The answers are interesting, so I'm not stopping you.
Okay, so historically our dealer map, you would press find a dealer and the dealer's phone number and email address would come up. So that would be me measuring if they've gone on the dealer map, but I don't know if they've rang the dealer. I don't know. They could have bought something else from the dealer, like who knows. So now I have a contact form on there, which builds our email list, and it via the CRM automatically emails the dealer with that lead. So that's a better conversion than how I was previously tracking conversions. But the holy grail for me will be when someone buys a machine and registers it for warranty on our warranty system, that I've then got their contact. So if I've, say, John Deere, well, we're on Agri-Works, at a man called John Deere at Lama, I spoke to him and I took his details. I want to be able to match up when he registers it for warranty, like he goes and buys it from his local dealer a year later. I can be like, how many? Yeah. Oh no, that ad in Farmer's Guardian, that's where we got that from. Like that's where, so that's conversions, I think, is very important.
And also from that, you can then start building a picture of how many touch points there have been in between.
Exactly.
And that side of things. Yeah.
But conversions are also, like for us, the most difficult thing to measure. Obviously, like impressions are impressions. For us as a brand that needs brand awareness, I do think impressions are important too.
Most underrated channel for marketing?
I mean, for me, I think TikTok, because at my generation, I don't really like TikTok.
I've got a love-hate relationship with it.
Yeah, I'm seeing so much success on TikTok at the moment. Like we've got a dealer called DGT Agri, Will, and he's massive on TikTok, and he talks about machinery, and he gives. I was wrong. You know, you always have to be very humble in marketing, because you think TikTok is just for kids, but actually it's not. It really isn't. Like for example, we had Harriet Cowan on our stand at Lama, and her dad was on the stand, and her dad was like, "Oh my God, you're Will!" I was like amazed by the videos that Will's putting out about machinery, and And I was like, wow, okay, more people are on TikTok than you think. Yeah, and that's our TikTok needs to improve. But just got a new marketing superstar that's joined the team, and I'm like, right, you own TikTok.
It's your thing.
Because it's so hard to do them all at once.
And also get the messaging different on all of them, because you can't, it's hard if you're only one person, but you don't want to end up with the same thing on each one because it's not the same audience.
Exactly.
Anyway, quickfire, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not good at quickfire. I'm too talkative for quickfire.
Okay, this is a two-part, and I'm going to keep you to being quick on this.
Okay.
You kind of answered the second part anyway, but where would you like to see yourself and the brand in 5 years' time?
Ooh. I mean, still number one UK market share. Number one market share in Ireland would be nice too.
Okay.
And two-wheel market. I think number one two-wheel is very, very ambitious, but why not reach for the stars?
Let's go for it.
Yeah. And then myself, I'd like a bigger marketing team and to head up. I just want to keep growing because we're always neglecting right now, and I just want to have like people owning every different part of marketing.
No, that makes sense. Thank you very much for joining. It has been really good picking your brain.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. That is it from this episode of the Agri-Works podcast. A big thank you to Jasmine for joining and having a chat with me. It was really interesting and useful, I think, in terms of how to build that community through your marketing for a small but growing business. If you want to keep up with everything Agri-Works, you can subscribe so that you get notifications of new episodes each time they're released, or you can find us on social media, Agri-Works on LinkedIn or at agriconnect_Agri-Works on Instagram and Facebook, or you can see our website, which is agri-works.co.uk. That is it from me, and I will see you next time.